How would you react if your place of business was broken into and then the media came to talk to you about it? Knowing full well all the break-in problems that have existed, especially in recent months around Kansas City. Would you say, well, it could have been worse? Or would you say it's about damn time this city started doing things that need to be done to prevent these criminals and to dissuade these criminals from breaking into businesses? Which approach would you decide to take? Well, I saw this on the local news over the weekend. Channel 9, KMBC had this story about Governor Stumpy's Grill House that was burglarized and suffered property damage last week. And I watched the Channel 9 report, and I said to myself, you got to be kidding me. Any business owner who gets burglarized in this town right now needs to go to local media and be screaming bloody murder about the awful job that Kansas City is doing preventing these break-ins. And now the city's answer is totally reactionary, and it's not proactive. It's not about preventing crime or trying to make sure that certain criminals aren't on the streets to commit the crimes. It's all about, well, sorry about that. Let me get $5,000 for you to get an alarm system set up. No, that's not what we want. We want to put our heads on the pillows at night as business owners in this town and not have to worry about that 4 a.m. call from the cops saying your place was broken into, the alarms went off, and you're missing $10,000. And oh, by the way, it's going to cost you $5,000 to fix your doors. That's what business owners want to be doing in Kansas City and anywhere for that matter, right? That's what they want to be doing. But the owner of Governor Stumpy's Grill House went on Channel 9. Here's what the report sounded like, and then I will give some benefit of the doubt afterwards, which I'll explain.
It happened at about 3 in the morning before Thanksgiving. There were 4 burglars. One of them broke in by smashing the window on the door to the back porch we showed you, but a short time later, an alarm goes off. The burglar who was in the restaurant dives through the broken window to get outside and then leaps off the patio. A short time later, the burglars are seen driving away in a car.
Thankfully, nobody was hurt. They weren't even hurt. Because of the other break-ins prior to this, Andy, we were able to talk with the other business owners and get some information. We even had 2 off-duty police officers that offer some security advice.
And in September, city leaders unveiled the Back to Business Fund at City Barrel Pizza right up the street from here. It's money set aside to help small business owners recover from burglaries, from either taking care of damages or also adding security.
With all due respect to Channel 9, that package sounds like it was propaganda from the city of Kansas City. Yeah, we got broken into, but the alarms went off, and we talked to other business owners who have been getting burglarized as well, so we were well prepared, and thank goodness they didn't really take much, just a couple grand in damage. So all in all, I mean, this is a great break-in. This is the best kind of break-in. Only the best break-ins in Kansas City.
I like to be warned.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't stop it, brother.
Gosh, dude. I understand, too, in television, the owner of Governor Stumpy's Grill House may have said a lot of other things that were critical of Kansas City, and that's the problem. There's a lot of people that don't want to do TV interviews because in TV, they're going to take a 10-second clip when you say 3 to 4 minutes of stuff. I've had people say, hey, that's why I like coming on your show, because you're going to hear everything I say. It's live. It's not like, hey, let me record this 5-minute conversation, and then I'm going to find the 10-second clip that fits my narrative. I don't know if that's what happened here. I don't want to assume that's the case from a TV side, and I don't want to assume that's the case from Kevin Ryan's side, the owner of Governor Stumpy's. I just know this much. What we need is more Matt Chateaus, the guy who owns Betty Ray's Ice Cream and is laying into the city right now. And we'll go to any media outlet that will talk to him and talk about the issues as he sees it, as a guy who's had his River Market ice cream shop broken into, twice in the last couple of months? That's what we need more of. Not, the break-in could have been a lot worse. Only cost me a couple of grand. I'm really grateful for it. No, that's a loser attitude. With all due respect, that is a loser attitude. You got break-ins all over this town. And they found the guy that's like, yeah, could have, well, could have been four.
He jumped through the window and off the deck and didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm pulling for a broken ankle or something there myself.
You and me both, man. Right. Oh, my gosh. And then part of the story is the city announcing late last week that it will distribute $70,000 in back-to-business funds to over 30 local businesses to help them with repairs to damaged property, including smashed windows and doors. That's the fund that they kicked off in October, I want to say, where if your place of business had been burglarized after July 1st of this year through July 1st of next year, you can apply for either $3,000 or $5,000 to basically help with smashed windows, alarm systems, and things of that nature. This is straight out of the propaganda of City Hall. City Hall could not have put together a better television package on a break-in than this. Yeah, it was a pretty minor break-in. Could have been a lot worse. Oh, did we tell you we've got $70,000 pouring into local businesses from the taxpayer to fix their broken windows? You know, it's great if you just set up a business climate and a climate with the law enforcement in this community and the prosecutors in this community that doesn't require you to spend money on the back end because you've got so many break-ins happening in the community. That's the way to play this. That's the way that it should be handled by the city and by the prosecutor's office, by the cops, and then that's how it should be covered by the media. But they apparently have no interest in doing that. So instead, you get nonsense like this. 913-408-7957. That's our text line here on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM. We're streaming, of course, on the KCMO Talk Radio app. In the meantime, I'm just looking at the text line here. You guys are killing me. Oh, my gosh. Pete, we got to give them grants for outdoor furniture and heaters. Yeah, no. We do not know. That's not the answer. Well done on the text line, but no, that's not the answer. Also on the text line, Pete, this is pure lunacy. When does it end? I don't know when it ends. I mean, I think the people are waking up. I do. I'm hopeful that people are starting to see the light here in all of this. But I don't know. We still don't have business owners who are willing to say what needs to be said. I talked to a handful of business owners that want more of their fellow business owners to stand up because we all know what the problem is. But there's not enough of them who are willing to do it. Some of them are afraid of retribution from the city. And they won't say that part out loud either. They should, because that is arguable corruption at its worst, but not enough of them want to do it. 913-408-7957. Oh, gosh. Pete, do you think that Keatsman's going to go off on KU after their loss to Mizzou over the weekend? I haven't asked him what he's going to talk about on the show. Give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. He's in the house. Thumbs down. Okay. All right. He's thumbs down.
You might bring it up, but KU was bad.
Yeah, I know. I was watching the game on Sunday. I was trying to hold off my daughters who were desperate to put on a Christmas movie. And KU started making the comeback in the second half, so I kept pushing it off. I'm like, 5 minutes, stop. Cut me some slack here. And then finally, when Mizzou went up, I don't know, they got a big bucket late in the last minute or so, maybe made it a 6-7 point game. I said, okay, the game's over. Put on the Christmas movie. Put on Polar Express. I'm done here. But they made that late push. I'll say that much. But yeah, that was, crazy. I didn't see that coming from KU. All right. We'll get to more of you coming up here on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM, streaming on the KCMO Talk Radio app. 919. Let's go to you, 913-408-7957. Derek's in Oak Grove. What's happening, Derek? You're on KCMO.
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Go ahead, my man.
I just think that, all the statistics show that crime is caused by poverty. So wouldn't it make more sense to address poverty before you just? I mean, we've spent a ton on the police. How much more can you spend on the police and prison? You have to. I've driven through Kansas City my whole life. Like the same houses that have looked bad have always looked bad. The same areas that have looked bad have always looked bad. Haven't really seen them build any affordable housing in Kansas City. What do you think about that?
Well, do you know, Derek, how much money has been spent on combating poverty since the Great Society?
I'm not talking about putting money into programs. I'm talking about actual, not private public partnerships, because that always rips the public off unless you can show me differently. I'm talking about actually the public building houses and then giving the people.
Well, that's part of combating poverty. I mean, that's part of.
Way. How would you claw back the prices on houses other than building public housing?
Okay, well, let me answer the question that I asked you that you didn't want to take a stab at. $25 trillion, when adjusted for inflation, has been spent on combating poverty since 1964. $25 trillion. I'm going to let you talk after I'm done. $25 trillion has been spent. The notion that, we don't know how to fight poverty, we don't spend enough money on fighting poverty, we don't spend enough money on people who need help, we're not playing that game because it simply isn't true based on the numbers.
So when Biden did these tax credits in 2020 and gave people money, it actually increased the standard of living for everybody in America. Whenever you give a certain amount of money to people, it brings like a certain percentage of kids out of poverty. Like that's shown in statistics. I don't know what you're exactly referencing. What money? Tell me exactly what money was spent. These trillions of dollars. Like when did they build housing in Kansas City, and that was cheaper than the houses that were already there?
What are you talking about? We're having a conversation. You're talking about how Joe Biden giving checks to people, which obviously happened when it wasn't necessary in 2020. Derek, do you want to have a conversation? Derek, do you want to have a conversation or not? Just tell me yes or no. If you want,
say that he gave them checks or child tax credit, and that it boosted people's standard of living. That's what I said.
Very temporarily until inflation took off, which killed the working class and the poor.
No, the tax credit went away, and so then the standard of
Derek,
living went back
I'm
down.
trying to give you a chance, but if you're going to talk over me, the conversation will end quickly. So can I speak, and then you talk, and then I talk, and you talk? Can we do that?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So you referenced handing money to people.
The child tax credit. That's not handing money to people.
So you're referencing a child tax credit now. That you're saying what? Yeah. Boosted incomes for those at the lowest levels.
It didn't boost income. It boosted their standard of living.
According to who?
Statistics. Every statistic. You can look it up right now, dude.
Every statistic. Okay, well, I promise you this: we're not a child tax credit away from fixing the problem.
What'd you say?
We are not a child tax credit away from fixing the poverty problem. Do you think that people are? Let me ask you: do you think people are committing crimes and burglarizing in Kansas City because they don't have enough of a child tax credit?
Did I say just a child tax credit, or did I say poverty? I was talking about affordable housing before the child tax credit, was I not?
Correct. You were kind of all over the map. So if only we had some more free housing and a couple of more child tax credits, these criminals, who we don't even know if they have kids, would not be burglarizing shops, would not be burglarizing Betty Ray's ice cream store, would not be going into some of these places, blowing out the windows and trying to steal money. Is that what you're saying here?
Well, there's problems that can be fixed immediately, and there's problems that are fixed later. So whenever you do something like a child tax credit or help do the housing, these things would, over years, compound, and then that's how crime would go down. Does that make sense to you?
No, because we've literally lived through. I mean, unless you've been in a coma for the last few years, we've tried all that. We've tried it all. Like I said, have you been alive for the last several decades where we've been told if you just put more money from the government into housing, into this program, into that program, everything's going to turn around. Every single thing is going to turn around and no one's going to live in poverty. That was the promise of the Great Society. And I would argue all the Great Society has done and basically all the knockoff policies and programs since then whether it's at the city level, whether it's at a state level, or whether it's at a federal level, has only created an environment and a portion of society that is overly reliant on the government for their standard of living. And instead of teaching a man to fish, you have just handed a man or a woman fish. And in that case, they need you more than they need themselves. And it hasn't worked. Come on. I mean, it's one thing to have a conversation, a nuanced conversation about maybe we can expand a child tax credit. But what a dumb thing to say. The more I think about it, what an absolutely moronic thing to say when it comes to why burglaries are happening at record rates in Kansas City. Yeah, people don't have a place to live. Do you know that? Do you know that the criminals who are breaking into restaurants and breaking into bars in this town don't have a place to sleep at night? I don't think they're homeless. I mean, the guy who broke into Betty Ray's was like 78 years old. Remember him? He showed up in his car. Like, I don't think that's what's going on here, man. Now, whether or not you want to have a conversation about some of these things, how to lower homelessness, that's certainly a conversation worth having. But my gosh, I mean, that I don't know what direction the conversation was going. I was trying to make it a conversation that would be somewhat productive and fruitful, but I probably should have realized earlier it wasn't going to happen.
You had trouble. I have a hard time screening the guy in. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah.
No. I mean, he's asking about affordable housing. Look up Wayne Minor here in Kansas City. Built and torn down. Pruitt-Igoe in St. Louis. Cabrini Green in Chicago. That kind of answers your question about what happened.
Well, yes. And that's a fair point to bring up. The answer is not more government. Now, if you want to rag on the police and say somehow this is all the cops' fault, I don't even know how you come to that conclusion. The police are certainly not the problem here. The police need to be doing a little bit more when it comes to proactive policing. But I understand they are down 400 cops right now in this town. Right? They can only do so much patrol, so much proactive policing when you're literally down about a third of your workforce from where you need to be. That is a monster number. You can't do as much patrol. You can't do as much when it comes to just kind of, being on the lookout, driving around neighborhoods, being there as a presence to deter criminals. It's hard to do that when you're still dealing with an increased number in shootings. Don't forget, our shootings are up this year from last year. Our homicides are down about, 25%. But the shootings are up, which means the cops are still plenty busy. It's not like they're less busy because homicides are down. What's happening this year is that people are just getting shot, but they're not getting killed, which means the aim is off. I don't know what to say about it, but clearly something's going on, but it's keeping the cops plenty busy.
We blame the cops for the crime, but then there's 650 cars stolen a month? That's something else they got to deal with.
Yes,
right?
650
so it's
cars.
Not like they've got one priority going.
Yes, 650 cars a month. That's a monster number in this town.